Hi, so you use Home Assistant and you also want to see the statistics in Home Assistant in a really nice way, then you should use Grafana. If you don't know how Grafana works, I will tell you in this video how it works, so watch this. You can see the statistics of Home Assistant in a really simple way through the history, but that's quite simple. There is an add-on for Home Assistant that makes it much more nice, and that is called Grafana. And I'm going to show you how Grafana works in this video. So let's dive into it. What you currently see on the screen is my own Grafana environment, but we're going to set it up in another environment so I can take you there step by step. So let's go to the other environment. And the first thing that we have to set up is InfluxDB. For that, we go to the supervisor, and then we go to the add-on store, and then we search for InfluxDB. There it is. And I'm going to install InfluxDB by clicking on install. This might take a while. So InfluxDB is installed, and now we are going to start InfluxDB. Let's start it first. And this might take a while, and you can see the progress of the starting of InfluxDB in the log. So if we go to log and we refresh, then you see things happening here. So we refresh every now and then until it is started. So I'll come back if it's started. So while it's starting up, I'm already going to do one thing. I'm going to info and I'm going to say show in sidebar, so that my InfluxDB link is visible in my menu here. Let's check the log again. Okay, let's click on InfluxDB on the left side. It might be that I get an error. Yes, I get an error bad gateway, and that means that it's not yet started. So let's just patiently wait until it will be available. So go back to supervisor, InfluxDB log. Hold on, getting started in Nginx any moment now, so let's try again. Yes, there it is. It is starting. Get a black screen in the beginning. Just be a little bit more patient. It really depends on how fast your system is. So this is my staging environment, so that's not that fast. But this is InfluxDB. So now there are a couple of steps that I have to take. I have to create a database and a user now in InfluxDB. So that's what I am going to do, and for that I have to go to the InfluxDB admin, and I'm going to create a database here, and I'm going to give the database the name Home Assistant. I'm making this really simple. You can give it any name you want, but I'll make it really simple. So that's the database. So we have a database here now, which is called Home Assistant, and now I have to create a user that can access the database. So clicking create user. Let's call the user Home Assistant, and well, I'll give it the password Home Assistant 2, and then I'm going to save it, and I'm giving the permission all. So now I have user Home Assistant with password Home Assistant with permissions all. And if I, let's see, if I now go to explore, I see I have a Home Assistant autogen database, but there's nothing in it yet. I don't see anything here. So the next step that we have to do is that we have to connect the InfluxDB database that we just created to Home Assistant, so that Home Assistant can feed that database with the data from Home Assistant. So how do you do that? For that, you have to go to your configuration.yaml, and if you don't know how to do that, watch the Samba share video to see how you can connect to the configuration.yaml file. And if you did that, then you can go to your Explorer, and in the Explorer on your server, on your Home Assistant server, you will find the configuration.yaml file. So when you are in the configuration.yaml, I have to add some code to connect InfluxDB to Home Assistant, and this is the code you have to add here. So it is called InfluxDB and the host name is this. It's always the same. You can find the code in the description below. It's on my GitHub page. And as you can see, I refer to the database username and password that I entered in InfluxDB before. So this is what you have to enter, and then you save the configuration.yaml, and then you go back to Home Assistant, and then you go to configuration, server controls, check configuration, see if your changes in your configuration.yaml are valid, and if so, click restart, and now we wait. So Home Assistant has restarted, so let's see what we will see in InfluxDB now. So if you click that, it will start up. Then we go to Explore, and as you see now, I have 12 domains and 42 entities. So if I click on this, I see all the domains that I have in my Home Assistant, and I see all the entities. For instance, I see the entity of the living room temperature. So if I click here on living room and I say here current temperature, then you see that there is one little dot here which shows that the current temperature is around 20 degrees. Because of the fact that I just installed it, these graphics are very limited, because it has just been recording the graphics, so I don't see much yet. But this means that there's already something going on. And within InfluxDB you can also create various graphs. If you go to visualization, then you can choose all kinds of graphs that you want to show. But for now it's really simple, and I will show you at the end of the video how it looks like when you have a database that has been filled for the last 30 days. So now we have InfluxDB running, and with InfluxDB you already can create great graphics, but with Grafana you can even create better graphics. So now we are going to install Grafana. For that we go to the supervisor again, we go to the add-on store, and then going to search for Grafana, and we're going to install Grafana, and now we wait. So Grafana is installed, and now I'm going to start Grafana. Let's look in the log. Here it is starting. Okay, I guess it is started. Let's go to info and click show in sidebar so that we see it on the left side in our menu, and then I'm clicking on Grafana here. So currently Grafana won't show you anything because it's not yet connected to the InfluxDB database, because it retrieves its data from the InfluxDB database. So we're going to add a data source. So let's see, that's here in configuration, data sources. We're going to add a data source, and we're going to add an InfluxDB data source. So I'm going to select this one. Then I will give it a name. Let's say Home Assistant. And I'm going to say this is InfluxQL. And then the URL that you have to type in here is http://a0d7 .com/. 36. So this is the address of your InfluxDB server. 954, yes, that's correct. Access is server, and for the rest I'm going to leave this the same. And now we have to say the database of the InfluxDB, which is Home Assistant. The user that we created in InfluxDB was also with the name Home Assistant. And the password that I gave it was also Home Assistant. And then I'm going to say save and test. And if everything is correct, then it will say the data source is working. That's really cool, because that means that now we have a connection between Grafana and InfluxDB. So if I go to the dashboards of Grafana, I don't see anything here yet, but I'm going to create a new dashboard. So let's say plus create dashboard, and the dashboard basically consists of different panels with graphics or statistics in it. So I'm going to add a new panel here, and this might seem a bit difficult, but it's not that really difficult. You really have to play with it. But let's say I'm going to create a formula that shows the temperature in my living room. So I'm selecting a measurement here. I'm going to say state, where, and then my entity ID is the entity ID of Home Assistant. So the value will be living room. And then I'm going to say, what do you want to show here? So it's the field value, and I can say, for instance, in this my current temperature, and then I can say I want the mean current temperature over time, but I can also, I can also select for distinct, and this shows sort of the same thing now here. This is really limited now because, as I said before, the recording of the data is has just started, so you won't see much, but in a minute I will go to my live environment and then you will see much more. It's just to show you a bit how this works. So here are visualizations, so I can say what kind of graph do I want to show here. Do I want to see a graph, or do I want to see a step? So it shows now it's 21 degrees, or a gauge, or bar gauge, but I'm going to say graph. And then I can also say I want to see bars instead of lines. Well, there's a lot of things that I can do here, but it's better if I show you in my live environment. The only thing that you need to know now is that you have Grafana installed and it is working. And now I'm going to show you how you can create your own dashboards here. So for that we go to my live environment of Grafana. And let's start with the first dashboard here, that is weather today. So this is one of my dashboards that I created. What you can see here is a barometer that shows what the outside pressure is at the moment, the current outside temperature, the maximum temperature that we had today, and also the trend barometer. Is it going down or is it going up? And here, for instance, is a graph about how much rain fell. Let me create a dashboard from scratch, so that might give an idea on how that works. So I'm going to plus create dashboard, add new panel, and we're going to say select measurement. Well, let's make it state in this case, where the entity ID is living room, and I want to show the current temperature, and I want to show distinct. And here's my graph of the current temperature. I can change the panel title, so I'm going to say living room temperature. And what I can do is I can make it bars. I can remove the lines, but I think lines is better to use. I can also change the color, so I can say let's make it yellow. And so this is one simple thing, so I'm going to apply this. So now I created one panel on my dashboard. Let's create another panel next to that. So let's, well, maybe save the dashboard. New dashboard is, let's call it tutorial. Save. So we're going to add another panel. Add panel. Add new panel. And let's say that I want to know how much rain fell. So let's say select measurement millimeters, where entity ID is, and then it's saying rain last hour. Let's keep this to mean. Let's make it bars. No, don't make it mean. I'll make it distinct. Then my bars are more nice. Rain should be blue. So now you see the amount of rain that fell in the last couple of hours. So let's give the name. Rain, apply. So now I have my my second panel, and so this way you can create more and more panels. Save the dashboard, so you can create more and more panels, and I'm going to show you some example panels now. Let's see, let's go to weather this week. So this is, for instance, is weather this week, so I can see per day how much rain fell. I can see the mean humidity, I can see my barometer and all other kinds of stuff. I can also see, for instance, how the corona is doing. So this is, let's say, not for the last 7 days, but for the last 30 days. You see corona confirmed, corona current, corona recovered, corona deaths. If you want to know how to do this, there is an integration in Home Assistant which is called Corona. So if you go to configuration integrations, there is the coronavirus integration. So add that, and then you can add that data to Grafana. Go back to Grafana. So that's the corona one. And I also measure the power in my house because I have a smart meter, so I can see the power of today. So power consumption, the energy consumption total, the production of my solar panels, and the power production. I can see what my solar panels did today, what the power consumption was today, how much power I used in my studio today, and also some specific devices that use power. And I can also see that for the whole week. But basically I can change that here because I have last 7 days here, but I can also say, well, maybe I want to see it for the last 30 days, so I can see it for the whole month. So you have so much flexibility here. And there's another dashboard, for instance system, where I can see my light sensor in the living room, how that performs. The temperature in my bathroom, how that went today, the pressure in my bathroom, the humidity in my bathroom, the processor usage of my Raspberry Pi, disk use, memory usage of my Raspberry Pi, and the CPU temperature. So that's really a lot that you can do in Grafana. So many possibilities. I cannot explain all of them. You really have to play with it to see how everything works. Create your own dashboards and get really insights on how your house is performing. I hope this video helped. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, tick the little bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.